back with comedian David Boyle, and I'm quitting alcohol. An Indian comedian I know was on Instagram today promoting a show that he's doing on Friday night. So I'm like, fuck it, I really want to see some comedy. I want to hang out with some comics, maybe even do a gig if they can slide me on. So I sent him a message saying, hey man, where's your show on Friday? I need to hang out with comedians. I need to see some comedy. I want to come down and hang out. And I'm also thinking, thank fuck shows are starting again. There's a lot of rust that needs to be knocked off. And I can't really take my time and ease myself back into gigging. I just have to fucking go out there and do it because God knows when the next fucking lockdown is happening. And at this stage, with the amount of time I've taken off stand-up due to lockdowns everywhere I fucking go, I can barely even call myself a comedian. Well, a stand-up comedian anyway. I do have this podcast, thank fuck. The last gig I did was the one in Sydney where those cunts heckled the fuck out of me. That was my last gig. I think that's 4 months ago now, or just under 4 months. So anyway, this comedian messages me back and he's like, it's just a small show we're doing. And I'm like, yeah, don't worry, that's cool. I just want to come and hang out anyway. And I'm like, just send me the address and what time it starts and I'll be there. And then he sends me another message back saying, it's actually in an open micer's house. We're doing it in a room of an open micer's house. And I'm like, yeah, well, that makes sense. Makes a lot of sense, actually. That is rock bottom there. I understand that gig. I get it, though. You need to knock off the rust. Open micers are desperate people. They're the worst human beings in the world. So the open micers probably kicked his parents out of the house for the night and taken over their bedroom or something. I get that. I get the desperation of comedians. What I don't get is why you would promote it on Instagram. Your last gig was 4 months ago. This is the first gig back after 4 months and nothing. And the venue is an open micers, disabled parents who have been kicked out of the house bedroom. And you're promoting that. That's more like something you hide from people because of the shame. That's something you don't bring up for like 10, 20 years until you're a huge star and you can talk about it like an old battle story, like showing someone a scar. Scars are cool. You can show people scars, you can tell them the story and it's fun and it's funny and it's great. What isn't cool is inviting people over to see your bleeding, hemorrhaging open wound. Promoting that on Instagram. That is insanity. When I start gigging regularly again, no one is going to hear fucking boo about it for at least 3 months. I mean, I'll talk about it on the podcast, but I'm not inviting anyone and saying, hey, come down and watch this train wreck. The first couple of months out of the last lockdown was pretty rough sailing. I think the first couple of gigs were okay because I was just spitting venom and bile and shit. But when I actually had to start putting an act together, a new one, it was rough sailing. But I will be going on Friday and hopefully I can do a little spot there. Do a 5-minute spot in an open micer's bedroom. I can imagine the open micer teeing up this gig as well, going, hey, come do a gig at my place. I've got a spare room now. Both my parents died of COVID last month. It's awesome. I've got so much space. We can get some chairs in here. It'll be great. So yeah, that is comedy. Coming back, bottom of the barrel. Anyway, let's move on to this week's Boyle Breaks History. Now, I know I've been a little bit slack with the Boyle Breaks History over the last month or two, and this week is going to be no exception. I did get fired up for it. I wanted to do the history of Scotland. I was psyched because I know nothing about Scotland, and I'm like, I'm just going to sink my teeth into this and do a really good fucking Scotland one. And as soon as I started researching, I'm like, fuck this. I didn't realize Scotland had such a long fucking history. I think the Africans came there in like the Neolithic times, and then the Romans came, and there was just like too many fucking names. There were like Edwardses and fucking Bruces and Duncans and Williams and fucking Vikings and all that sort of shit. And there was some king actually named Macbeth, like the Shakespeare play I've never read but pretend I have. And Macbeth was like a real king of Scotland, but it wasn't even named Scotland back then. It was like Alba or some shit, and Caledonia was there. And I'm like, how about fuck off? I am not interested in that. History in school in Scotland must have been fucking shit. If I had to do history in Scotland, I would have just dropped out in year 7 and fucking started a haggis restaurant or something. That's the good thing about being from Australia. There's no history. It's like 200 and something years. I mean, there was like 60,000 years of Aboriginal history, but then there was like 200 years of white people history. And all that is we came, we killed most of the Aboriginals, and now we have cafes. That's it. That's most of it. It seems like it's most of it in Canada as well. I've been getting messages from Canadians, and I actually saw the fucking thing. Apparently 250 bodies of dead children were dug up under some church or some fucking Catholic school in Canada. I need to look more into that because that is pretty hectic. And apparently it's getting swept under the carpet. Anyway, what I'm going to do this week for Boyle Breaks History, I am going to explain the difference between England, Great Britain, and the United Kingdom because I had no idea they were different things. I thought it was just 3 different names for the same thing, like Boyle, the Boyle, and Le Boyle. But they're not, they're different things. So, the United Kingdom is made up of a group of countries. These countries are England, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland. And they're all co-equal and sovereign nations. That's what they say anyway, but everyone knows England dominate. And they may be separate and sovereign, but they don't have separate passports. So all those countries have British passports. So they're really British citizens. But don't say that to them. Just call them English cunts. That's what they like. Scottish like being called English. Welsh like being called English. And cunts from Northern Ireland love getting called English. So if you're ever speaking to someone with an accent you can't quite pinpoint, just call them English. They love it. So that's the United Kingdom. England, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland. And the full name of the United Kingdom is really the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. So what the fuck is Great Britain? Good question. Great Britain is actually just the island of Great Britain. It's that one landmass, Great Britain. It's the biggest island in the British Isles. And the countries that make up Great Britain are England, Wales, and Scotland. So 3 countries just battling it out throughout history over that cold, shitty island. Just fucking go to Fiji. They have fruit, there's good beaches, it's warm. I really need to get to Great Britain now I know what that is so I can fully trash it. I feel like I'm just someone trashing it through hearsay and meeting the people from Great Britain. So Great Britain is the biggest island in the British Isles, and the second biggest island in the British Isles is Ireland, which is made up of the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland. And the people from the Republic of Ireland are the real Irish people. They're the Irish. They're the Irish. They're the Conor McGregors. So when someone says they're Irish, they mean from the Republic of Ireland. I don't know what the Northern Ireland people call themselves. I think Van the Man is from Northern Ireland and he calls himself Irish, doesn't he? I don't know. That little bit's confusing. So really, that's it. That's all you need to know. England is a country on the island of Great Britain, which consists of Wales, Scotland, and England. And the United Kingdom is Great Britain plus Northern Ireland, which is actually part of Ireland. If I was Irish, that would fucking piss me off having that whole top part as part of the United Kingdom. No wonder there were the troubles. Anyway, that is enough stoking the flames of civil unrest for tonight. That's the end of Boyle Breaks History for this week. If you're enjoying the podcast, keep sharing it around with your friends. Hit me up on social media. I'm Boyle Comedy on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And I'll see ya the fuck later.